Chinese President Xi Jinping said on Tuesday that China and Indonesia should advance cooperation in a coordinated manner in the post-pandemic era. In a phone conversation with Indonesian President Joko Widodo, President Xi suggested that the two sides integrate Belt and Road cooperation with China's building of a new development pattern and Indonesia's medium and long-term national development plan. Since last year, China-Indonesia relations have been moving forward while maintaining stability in defiance of the COVID-19 pandemic, President Xi noted. The two countries, he added, have launched a high-level dialogue cooperation mechanism, and established a new pattern of bilateral cooperation on the four-wheel drive, of political, economic, cultural and maritime affairs. China and Indonesia are both major developing countries, and have similar ideals and beliefs in pursuing national development and seeking happiness for their people, President Xi said. Facing major changes and a pandemic both unseen in a century, the two countries should strive to build a community with a shared future, he said, adding that the key to achieving this goal is to get concrete things done well one after another. President Xi stressed that the two sides should work together to fight the pandemic and set a good example of health cooperation. China, he said, will continue to cooperate with Indonesia throughout the vaccine industrial chain and on drug research and development, help Indonesia build a regional vaccine production center, and work with Indonesia to improve global public health governance and build a global community of health for all on the basis of jointly fighting the pandemic. The two sides should pursue common development and set a role model for practical cooperation, President Xi added. He called for joint efforts to build the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway with high quality, earnestly implement such key programs as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Corridors and the Two Countries, Twin Parks project, and foster such new growth areas as new energy, decarbonization, digital economy and maritime cooperation. China, he stressed, will actively participate with all its strength in anything that is conducive to promoting Indonesia's development and deepening China-Indonesia cooperation. President Xi said China attaches great importance to Indonesia's role in regional and international affairs, and stands ready to work with Indonesia to implement the consensus reached at last year's China-ASEAN Commemorative Summit, promote regional economic recovery and safeguard regional peace and stability. Noting that China and Indonesia hold the chairs of BRICS and the Group of 20 respectively this year, he said China is ready to work with Indonesia to practice true multilateralism, actively implement the Global Development Initiative, safeguard the interests of emerging market and developing countries, and contribute to promoting global economic recovery and improving global economic governance. For his part, President Joko first expressed his congratulation to the successful convening of the 6th plenary session of the 19th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, as he believed that under the leadership of General Secretary Xi, the Chinese people will continue to make new achievements. Last year, President Joko said that the bilateral trade and investment between Indonesia and China surged, while health and medical cooperation saw fruitful results, especially the cooperation in COVID-19 vaccines and research and development of drugs, as 80% of vaccines used in Indonesia came from China. The construction of the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway is well underway and expected to open to traffic as planned, said President Joko, who mentioned that the bilateral relations lie within mutual respects and win-win cooperation. He said Indonesia would like to boost cooperation in economy, trade and the fight against the pandemic with China, while actively advance the Belt and Road Initiative. Indonesia welcomes Chinese companies' investments in carrying out cooperation in high-tech and green development, said the president. President Joko said his country, which holds the G20 rotating presidency this year, is willing to work closely with China to encourage the G20 to play a positive role in promoting global solidarity and world economic recovery. He then wished Chinese people a happy Lunar New Year and the Beijing Winter Olympics and Paralympics great successes.